There we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Under Construction. I'm your host, Ellis, otherwise known as the Admiral, and for once I've done a real introduction on a stream, which is the first time, at least in my memory, that I've done that. I just hopped into the map and started poking around, and I just want to say, throwing in the trees and the grass and the other little scenery bits, boy does it make a world of difference. I was coming through here, because I started over in Olive, and then I swung all the way over here. And I was coming through here, and I'm just following the tracks, and then the road comes in from the side, crosses, and ducks down over there. Now, I've seen this location a million times, but it always looked really stupid to me. But now, with everything here, I think it looks gorgeous, and I'm so glad that it is the way that it is. Anyway, we are really going to try to button this thing up. Now, there's still the question of this side of the river, and of course this side of this river. I'm not willing to answer those today. I'm not ready to answer those today. Part of me would like to say, oh, we'll just continue with that endeavor later, as we work on the next section. Yes, it is Thursday. Good evening. Hello. As we work on the next section, we will, come back and periodically make adjustments. But I'm not going to lie to you or myself. I know full well that the moment I start working on the next section, any idea of me doing this more just goes out the window. We'll be focusing on the terrain work and the track work. And it's not February yet, so my my prediction of Valentine's Day as an optimistic estimate apparently is doing pretty well. Seems to be doing pretty well. I mean, I've got one more episode in the month of January, and then after that, we've got probably one episode, 2 episodes, until we have an episode after Valentine's Day. Now, I don't know what day of the week Valentine's Day falls on, which is something I should probably figure out, because, I have a girlfriend who I love very much, and if I forget Valentine's Day, I will probably wind up in a ditch somewhere. Just kidding. I actually have talked through, like, hey, what are we going to do? And we didn't have a good answer because she's sick and injured and, whatever. Valentine's Day is Valentine's Day. If you don't have something booked, a year in advance, you're not going anywhere. And we don't have anything booked, so I said, let's go to IKEA. Which is an idea I shamelessly stole from TJ, who took his girlfriend on a date to IKEA. Thank you for checking. Alright, now the pressure's on. Now I know I have 3 more weeks. Okay. So, I would like to fill this area out. Now, again, there's the question of where do I stop exactly? Because I've already put trees up to the edge of this, which is probably dumb and I shouldn't have done that. I've already sort of figured that I'm probably not going to add a tile here or here, but I do need to add a tile here, and here, and here, and here, and here. So, I can build up to those if I really wanted to, with trees anyway. But those are still some pretty good-sized question marks, and I don't really want to try to figure them out right now. I just know that if I decide not to do them now, they're going to get put off until I do those sections. And I don't think... Actually, no, I remember I stopped at the river last time. When I stopped work in Olive, I stopped at the river. And so, if we have that as a benchmark, I suppose there's nothing wrong with stopping at the rivers, plural. All the track work's in, it works. It's a functional, functional doodad, functional route. It just looks a little bad around the edges, which, Also, staging's doing nothing. It doesn't look like it has a purpose anymore. Which, I assure everyone, it does have a purpose, we just haven't come back around to it yet. That is very far along in the AI work, and I can't even think about doing the AI work again until I've got finished industries. Which we are very close to doing that also. Now, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I do think that maybe I can clear all of the yellow that doesn't involve quantities off of my sheet by the end of the day here. I have had a pretty productive day, just by and large, obviously not trains related, but I don't know if that's a feasible thing to do. It's a thing I would like to do. Either way, the scenery comes first, and I really just want to get these splines down. Let's see, we didn't make it all the way to the edge, because I was going to consider throwing a house up here. I'm not going to do that. And I should have just gone with the grass all the way up to the edge, because it's really not a big deal if it looks a little rough around the edges. Especially when it's buried in the woods like this. Adams is one thing, a tiny back road is something else. And I have to keep reminding myself this is not an aberration for this map. I have roads back near Olive that are kind of the same way, that I haven't even necessarily done the grass and stuff on. Uh-oh. Apparently I didn't click off that. The fact that it's on a Monday, the fact that Valentine's Day is on a Monday kind of presents a minor issue. Oh, that's right, yeah. So that's why it's sticking in my head now. So that weekend is a huge weekend. I am going to a wedding on Friday. Well, Gloria and I are. The following day, the Saturday, is a memorial, or a I don't remember what she called it, but it sounded much more cheerful, for her late grandmother, who passed away a year ago. So that's a yay and a cry back to back. I mean, I might be crying at the wedding, who knows? He's a childhood friend of mine. And then the 13th, I'm helping my mother move, and then the 14th is Valentine's Day. So maybe that does work out, because half of the reason that I was like, ooh, IKEA, half the reason IKEA was on the brain was that my mom suggested that she might need to go to IKEA to stock up on things after moving into her new place, which is much larger than her old place, if I am to understand correctly. Nope, wrong thing. Need this. And so I was just, jumping on that bandwagon, because what else do you say when someone says, do you want to go to IKEA, other than, I'm in? Which is literally what I said. Now, of course, I'm obligated to drive, because I have a Volvo. And also because I have a wagon, so that I can take all the stuff home. I have hauled a lot of IKEA stuff in that wagon. I don't mean like, oh, I've made a ton of trips, I go to IKEA a lot. I just mean that having gone, and we'll just clear out the road here. Having gone, I loaded that car up. Like, it was full. It was like maximum capacity of IKEA stuff loaded into my little wagon. And that is one of the most iconic moments I've ever had with that car, because what else do you do with a Volvo wagon other than go to IKEA? It's a pilgrimage you have to make. It might as well say so in the owner's manual. All Volvos sold should come with directions to the nearest IKEA from where you buy them. But that's just like my opinion, man. Okay, I need to make sure I didn't miss anything with these. Again, it doesn't need to be super pretty, it just needs to be clear of the road. And this is the less dense trees, so there are going to be holes in it anyway. It really only needs to look good from a little bit of a distance. Now, I might want to go through and double check that trees are not on slopes, which I did mark all the slopes by not putting grass on them. But that's, I don't know what's overkill anymore. This map has broken me. I don't know what's overkill. I was going to say that's overkill. I have no bearing for that. No idea whatsoever. So, I wanted to talk about Isaac Bell, but I'm not sure how many people know Isaac Bell. I mean, I wouldn't call it an obscure series, and if you're a fan of trains and history and stuff, it's and detective novels and historical fiction, definitely a series worth looking up. And so I probably, if I'm repping it to people, I probably shouldn't be spoiling it. But the most recent, the lead author, or the author, Clive Cussler, passed away recently. And by recently, I mean I think a couple of years ago. It's been some time. And yet the books still continue to come out, this one included. And it doesn't read quite so well as a lot of the previous ones. And the one I'm talking about is Titanic Secret. And I don't know if that was because Cussler had less of a hand in it than usual, or that it's been so long since I've read one of these books that I've forgotten what they feel like, and I'm having trouble adjusting again. Uh, I finally managed to wrangle hold of my life and dedicated time every day to read, or mostly every day. Uh, and I have a busy schedule. You know, most of my days can consist of like get up, get ready for work, which sometimes is 1 minute of getting up and shambling over to the computer like a I was gonna say some sort of zombie. I don't know what kind of zombie would make that the funniest. A spreadsheet zombie. You guys already know I'm a spreadsheet zombie. But shambling over to the computer. But I'd like to get up at 8:30, or I like to get up at 8 and get into work, quote unquote, into work by 8:30. Now, that doesn't happen most of the time, but I'm trying to rectify that. Meanwhile, I try to get to bed by 12 o'clock, and then read for an hour or so is generally my goal. It sometimes isn't an hour, sometimes it's a little less, sometimes it's a little more, but I like to block that time out because it's important to me, and also it just lets me decompress at the end of the day. I'm not going immediately from looking at a screen to trying to sleep, which is not great. Not not great for you. Not necessarily because it'll make you sick or something, but it's harder to go to sleep after you've been looking at that. I mean, you can. I'm sure everyone's heard about the blue light, blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm getting at. Um, I don't want to just bow down to that sort of thing, but it's worth noting. It's worth paying attention to at least a little bit, I think. I try to decompress before I go to bed and just fill my thoughts with a book. That said, it hasn't really been like you'd think doing that would give you dreams that had to do with that. Not working at all, not helping at all. Not anything remotely related to that. Although last night I think I had a dream about building Tolbrynd. Uh, I say I think because it's just one of those vague recollections that you have where it's like, I think this showed up in my dream. And I don't know what the context was. I don't know anything about it other than this might have been it. You know, it might have been here. So I really have I've got nothing but that. Alright. Whoa, lag. Okay. I'm going to call this area done. What do we do next? Well, we need to put the grass in around here. Grass and shrubs. We also probably want to put a wall up around this complex, or at least a fence. Right? Yeah. Let's just use the search filter for this. So I got my first glimpse of what the Surveyor 2.0 really looks like. And suffice to say, I am blown away. The tools seem incredible. And I haven't gotten the chance to get my hands on it properly yet and like try to work with it, but oh boy, that's exciting. It's so cool. This is 1942. I Yeah. I'll dream about solving murders on the Orient Express. This is not 1942. What the heck? This looks like 2042. Yeah, this is more like it. I'm just gonna do like this. I know it's a very irregular shape, but you're gonna have to bear with me here. Okay. I could put fencing over the entrance to indicate the fence came after, to close the place off, but I'm not sure I'm gonna bother with that. There we go. Let's just put that across like that. Hercule Poirot. Is anyone out there excited for Murder on the Nile? I saw Murder on the Orient Express, and that was interesting. Um, I wouldn't call it a great movie, but it was definitely entertaining for me. Uh, I don't know. The other people I was with were sort of like, all right, well, what was that? But I don't know. What can you say? It apparently was enough of a hit to warrant a sequel, so I'm not really complaining. Maybe that should go on the movie list. I don't think Gloria has seen it, uh, although it was mentioned today during a conversation with my dad, and he sort of spoiled the ending a little bit. Uh, Hopefully that will be forgotten by the time it comes around, but it's not a big deal either way. Who knows if I'll end up watching it again. I will probably end up seeking out Murder on the Nile eventually, but not necessarily in the immediate future. Certainly, I'm not going to bother going to theaters. Class just finished, and then there were none. There were none, as in no classes. Um. Oh, and then there were none, as in the. Never mind. Scratch what I was saying. Scratch my question. Forget my question. Uh, I was being dumb for a minute there. But I'm not. I am not familiar with. And then there were none. But in terms of movies that belong in English classes, or pieces of media, I should say, that belong in English classes, boy, Gloria and I just finished The Green Mile. That's going to be episode 3 of the real list, which, if you happen to see episode 1 and you liked it, even if you didn't like it, the second one's a hell of a lot better. It's over on the Iron Horseman community channel, which is linked in my channel. Anyway, you can find it in, like, under one of the subsections or something. It's in there. You'll find it, I'm sure. The Real List episode 2 is in there. It's on the Money Pit, but episode 3 is going to be on the Green Mile, which, no idea. I had no idea what I was getting into. And I'm not going to talk about it more than that, but yeah, that's really all I can say. It belongs in an English class. There's a lot to unpack in that movie. I've even held out on talking to Gloria about it because I'm trying to save the conversation for the show, which I don't know if that's like inhumane or not, but it seems to be something that happens between podcasters that work together, where it's like, okay, we don't want to waste content, so we're going to, purposefully avoid discussion or whatever outside of the show. I'm trying to see if there's anything I can do to help performance while I'm building over here, but I don't really think there is. This place has just gotten too big for the game. all the spline points probably don't help, but I like to use them as an indicator of if the game is frozen or not, which mattered a lot more back in 2006 and such. But I've never really strayed from that, so this is where we are. Oh, we've got a Green Mile fan. Well, in that case, you might want to check out episode 3 of the Real List. It will be coming out next Sunday. Yeah, on Sunday. It's going to be recorded tomorrow, probably. It was going to be a bit of a balancing act. I was talking about all the stuff I have to do on a daily basis, and that's one of them. I obviously don't record the Real List on a daily basis, but it's just one of those things. You've got to allocate time weekly for the shows that you make. I have to allocate time weekly to make a Wednesday special. Obviously, a community playdate, although that's in some ways more of just like playing a game with your buddies. Roads Online needs to get done. The Bacon Line, we need to record the next episodes of that, which I assume are going to be in the beta. I haven't had a discussion with it, or with my other cast members about it, so it's kind of up in the air. I haven't played the beta yet, but everyone seems to love the thing, so I don't think we can avoid it. I feel like we have an obligation to be up on the newest version, especially considering we have one of the devs in the show, but you know, whatever. We'll make that decision. I bet you it'll be in the beta. I really hope we don't lose the caboose in the lake immediately, because if you remember the end of last episode, the caboose was, sitting on the ice. Although I think I saved before that. Anyway, that needs to. So I've got recording to do just about every day. I've got dailies to pick up in War Thunder, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and in Halo Infinite, for the most part. I have writing I've got to get done, although that doesn't have to get done every day, especially. Once upon a time, I had to write every day to keep up with the Iron Horseman Chronicles, but that no longer is the thing I have to do, really. There are bits and pieces of that I'd like to get back to, of course, but these days I've been trying to keep up with the Housatonic, which is a scene every month for the coffee shops we do, which is we get together on the Discord and we share our writing projects, etc. What is my favorite movie, though? Well, honestly, I don't know why I need to deliberate on this. Snap answer is Up. I love Up with a passion. It is hands down my #1 favorite movie. Maybe not the one where if you lock me in a room and ask me to watch the same movie for, 24 hours or whatever, I would necessarily pick. Or if I had one movie for the rest of my life, that wouldn't be it. But I think it's my favorite movie. It holds an extremely special place in my heart. From the moment it came out to now. But second and third favorite, I don't know about third favorite. Second favorite is probably Grand Budapest Hotel by Wes Anderson. And that's an outstanding piece of film. I love it more every time that I watch it. It's one of those where you can just peel back layers and layers and layers. May not be a great English teacher movie or English class movie, but absolutely stellar film. On the bits of the movie list that Gloria and I completed before starting the Real List podcast, we had marked down which movies, well, we'd given star ratings, and I bet you I marked that a 5. I would hope that I marked that a 5, because it's deserving of it. Great piece of media. Maybe not for everybody. I've shown someone that, and the response I got from them was, what the heck did I just watch? But it's not weird so much as it is Wes Anderson. I don't know how else to describe it. It's Wes Anderson has a certain way about him in his films that is, you're never quite sure if you're supposed to be laughing or not. You're never quite sure what genre of movie you're watching. Is this a comedy? Is this a drama? Is this a tragedy? There's always many layers to things, and in some ways I think that's what makes them particularly magical, because they don't fit in one box for sure, but even if you dice them up and try to fit them in like 4 or 5 boxes, it still doesn't work. Much like life. That is not to say that Wes Anderson films are necessarily extremely realistic, but they are, in some respects, an exaggerated look at what life is like. Okay, so this area is... I can near enough call that done. We need to fill this in with trees. I would like to go up this way, which means putting grass and stuff along there. Although I am so not in a mood to do grass. Let me just check on my pings really quick. Uh-oh, what's this? I'm watching from a console, but I'm typing on my computer. Okay, I see. It's from Stellar, who's using DMs with me as a personal stream chat. At least you're doing it there and not on Steam. Holy cow. I don't feel like doing grass at all right now. I really don't. I don't know what else I have to do. I can go build a farm. I should go build a farm. I've already started with this, though. It's the same grass. It just looks different when there's stuff underneath it. Which railroad is the worst? Central. Honestly, it depends how you measure the worst. I think Union Pacific is in the running for the worst railroad especially if you happen to be employed by them. But we called them the Dream Crushers for a long time for a reason. They have this long, long legacy, but they're overhyped, they're overfoamed, they take over everything, they treat their employees like garbage, and they aren't even impressive by way of performance. They're just another railroad that happened to last a long while. But I think they're definitely in the running. There are railroads that I personally have a vendetta against. Yeah, I feel like I'm saying UP is the worst if you happen to work for them. Obviously, the BNSF employee and vacation and union situation is a really, really big asterisk on that right now. I think you're going to think the worst railroad is the one that you're working for at the very minute. I have seen the physics update. I haven't played it, but I've seen it, and I've seen a lot of discussion about it. So, it's in the beta branch. If you're curious about how to get to that, you can access it in Steam. Although I don't remember exactly how. If you're on their Discord, I'm sure somebody can tell you. If you're on our Discord, I'm sure somebody can tell you. But lots of helpful people. But yeah, it's out. It's out. It's public. It's a public beta. It's just not the main whatchamahoo's it, because it's not ready yet. Not quite ready. They just want to get people's opinions and see if stuff feels right. They need more playtesters. They need a beta for their alpha. They need more playtesters than they can have just out of the developers, because it's such a massive change. And, I mean, props to them for having the balls to just put it out there and say, hey, try it. It is what it is. And it seems pretty good. Again, people seem to like it. So, worst railroad. In terms of shooting themselves in the dick, probably the New Haven. The most anti-foam railroad imaginable. I don't know why so many people love the New Haven. I mean, people love the ghost of the New Haven. What they were, what they could have been. This imagined reality that wasn't a corrupt disaster that scrapped all their steam engines. Then again, in fairness, I don't know a lot of people that model the New Haven, or really anyone for that matter, because, well, for several reasons, one of them being, good luck modeling it, it's all suburbia and urban areas. You're going to spend 6 years of your life building one city. Not that I would know anything about that. But, no, the New Haven was a managerial disaster piece. By consequence, so was Penn Central, obviously. Although, of course, they weren't just a consequence of the New Haven, but the New Haven is like God's reckoning for putting the New York Central and PRR together, and by God I mean the Interstate Commerce Commission, of course. So, which, surprisingly enough, makes the saying, God sits at the right hand of the president of the Pennsylvania Railroad, make just that much more sense. So, why is this like this? I must have goofed while I was building this. Let's fix that. Worst railroad. Yeah, it really depends. In some respects, you could absolutely call the Pennsylvania the worst railroad. UP goes through cycles of being a mediocre, the best railroad, things at the best. Then UP is amazing before it goes back to being mediocre. I mean, the Rock Island, I think, got screwed over almost by no fault of their own. Obviously, they have a hand in their own destiny. But, I understand. Obviously, they have a hand in their own destiny. But I think they got enormously shortchanged by the U.S. government. And there are people smarter than I, one of them is in this very chat, that can tell me all the ins and outs of why I'm wrong or why I'm right. But just in my cursory research of what happened to the big old rock, Dwayne the Bankruptcy Johnson, I just got the impression they were supremely shortchanged. Like, they were just coming back and they got the rug pulled out from under them. Which is not unlike what happened to the B&M, except instead of getting the rug pulled out from under them, they were merged into Gulford, for which I will never forgive it. But, Gulford is a fun little thing to talk about on its own, because not only do you have just the history of them becoming the New England conglomerate they are, but there was also that time where they tried to take over the D&H and then really looked at it and went, oh, this was a terrible mistake. This was a terrible decision. We can't fix this. That is a good way to put it, Shoreline. Very much a victim of circumstance, but management absolutely did not help, I agree. Wilford was a whole mess. Says B&M Steam Productions. Hey, if anyone here is qualified to speak on it, Gulford / Pan Am, what a beautiful thing. And by beautiful, I mean terrible. And now they're going to be gone. Now the legacy of the Boston and Maine gets folded into CSX, like so many railroads before it, into what may well be the most bland Class 1 there is. And I mean that. CP and CSX have their railroad, the legacies of their individual named railroads, and all those that came before them. Union Pacific has a legacy. What that means exactly is up for debate. BNSF still holds on to all of the things that made it, really. Although I don't know how the unions were back in those days. NS is Norfolk Southern. I mean, at least they have what feels like a special identity. KCS is going to die, so it doesn't really matter what I can say about them. And meanwhile, CSX is... It's one of the only railroads, or it's the only railroad of the Class 1s whose lineage is difficult to guess just from looking at it. Yes, I know if you pull apart the acronym, there's Chessie and Seaboard in there, but you have to know that. There's nothing that tells you that. And what does the X stand for? Who knows? Even CSX doesn't know what the X stands for. Most people will tell you either expanded or explode, depending on the day. But CSX is, for all intents and purposes, in my eyes, the most detached from the past Class 1 that there is. They don't right size much. Yeah, that's fair. Let me just read that out. Guilford did help right-size much of the New England rail network, but they never exited that survival mode from the 80s. I'm wrong, CSX has always been a basket case of a railroad. No, I agree. It is 100% a basket case. I'm just talking about its legacy with respect to its historical counterparts. it is a beautiful disaster and always has been. I mean, it's called what it's called for a reason, and it was king of the leaderboard for the mantle of responsibility, and by king I mean the dead straight bottom, uh, for a very long time because they just kept blowing things up, uh, and that's great. They have their own view, but it's tough to tell where they came from. They might as well have just been born out of Conrail, which they practically were, for all intents and purposes, for my area of the world. And now CSX is absorbing Guildford, which, in a way, almost feels like it has the same vibes. Maybe they deserve each other. Slaps a sticker on the cab and calls it a heritage unit. Yeah, because they don't care, because they don't have heritage. They're just a bunch of railroads. And that doesn't mean knocking on CSX. I mean it sincerely. They are the 21st century railroad, and I know they're not originally from the 21st century. I know they didn't materialize. They aren't just some cancerous spawn of Conrail, or like solely a product of Conrail mitosis. I know they existed, and I know that they have legacy, etc. But they don't seem like a railroad with that, or at the very least, they don't seem to care, and that helps that image. I really need to go over the grass here. Also, I have way too big of a piece for what I'm doing. I just need like a small square like that. And my fans have kicked it into a higher notch. I will fill that in a minute. So Chesney and seaboard parts of the railroad are not even the most important anymore. C&O is a dying coal line and half the original seaboard is abandoned. Yeah, no, that's why I say that. It doesn't seem like CSX is tied to any particular legacy, even those of its namesake. Honestly, if I were to pick something that stands out about the CSX, is that it's mostly former Central lines, right? I mean, obviously, it has all sorts of stuff down south, but that might be the most... So here's my question, and this is one for the number crunchers out there, not that anyone's ever going to answer it. If you take all of the pieces, all of the Class 1s, like, say, 1950s Class 1s, that went into CSX, that eventually became CSX, right? And organized them by percentage of surviving trackage still under CSX, who would come out on top? What railroads have the most whole legacy through CSX? Because I doubt it's the Chessie and Seaboard. Well, Chessie, C&O. You know, it's probably something relatively small. But then if you sort of weight those by original size of railroad, perhaps. Or, I mean, you could just do it like this. Car miles, or not car miles, just miles of CSX track organized by who they originally belonged to. I mean, that's not really what my original thought was getting at, but it's also a good way, possibly, to break down that. Yeah, RF&P survives 100%. That's why I had to make my addendum. RF&P is, I forget they exist. I've always forgotten they exist. They are a really weird little railroad. They are proof that a bridge line can survive like that. Almost certainly ACL. Hello, comrade. Hey, Tyrese, how's it going? Okay. So we got the trees. Get the trees. I wish I had some water. I would really like some water right about now. Still an RFP GP35. Some of these Jeeps had just impressively long service lives, I'll say that much. But then again, when you look at locomotives, just in general, once a an era and a company gets their feet on the ground and gets to figuring out oh wait, the trees have to come over here. That's right. Gets to figuring out how to build a locomotive. Be this in the steam era or the diesel era. After an initial period of figuring out how the hell these things work, locomotives that went into service really stuck around, because you can say that a lot of diesels have had very long service lives, and it's true that like the early Jeeps, like Jeep 9s and stuff, they've had extraordinarily long service lives with respect to when they were built in their era, because they were very early diesel, and I'm not separating them into like first, second, third gen diesels. I'm just saying diesels in general. What's that? Once it's figured out how to make a locomotive that works, those locomotives tend to enter service and stick around for a very long time. Because it's not like they go bad, so to speak. It's not like... Because, relatively speaking, compared to something like an automobile, something we're more familiar with generally, because they're so overbuilt, they just don't wear out like a car does. Because they need to be that powerful. They need to be that strong. And so yeah, you might see time go by and they're outmoded, but they're not necessarily needing to be set aside. Unless they're engines that have some sort of fatal flaw, or, were broken from the factory or some such thing like that. If an engine is of sound-minded body, so to speak, once it enters service, it very well might stay there until the end of its era. And you can say that for diesels, and of course, the end of the diesel era hasn't quite come yet. But you can say that even more conclusively, I believe, for steam locomotives. And that's not because they're better, it's just because their era has already ended. By and large, anyway. They get worn out and they need to be rebuilt, but it is very seldom that it's easier to just get another one. Maybe because they're so expensive and complicated, but also because they're overbuilt, I feel. Most of the time when your car wears out and starts to break down every other day, you just get a new car. Unless you're an idiot like me. When your locomotive starts to break down, you take it into the shop and you give it an overhaul and you put it back out there and it keeps going for another, 25 years or so. That's just a blind guess to me. But think about it. You have the K36s, right? That have never stopped operating, basically, since they were built. And they still operate every day, just about, to this day. And they are, they are one of many tourist locomotives, or some of many, I should say, that do that rigmarole day in and day out. Now, you can point to just about any tourist line and say more or less the same thing. And, yeah, it is certainly a labor of love to keep a steam engine on a tourist line operating, but it's a different story that these engines, steam engines, they manage to stay in service or be in active service until, not just until they were outmoded, but until their entire family was outmoded, until everything about them was wrong. You have, again, accepting the very early days of steam, you have Americans from the 1890s that lasted into, the 1960s or 1950s, and would have probably gone even further if they'd had the opportunity, but instead they were supplanted by a completely different kind of locomotive. Yeah. It's the fact that they can just, these diesels can keep on trucking is a testament to how freaking tough they are. And also just the way locomotives do, the way they be. It's difficult to kill. They're difficult to kill. Okay, I'm not saying they all are running, but just in general. I would say the K-36s have more of a never been retired legacy than 844, if you ask me. But that's because, again, UP is overhyped and overfoamed. I'm not saying that 844 isn't a cool locomotive, and I'm not saying that, well, I am saying there's something wrong with UP, but that's beside the point. The the whole thing is just that it's a little much, guys. Come on. I'm not going to say definitively that UP foamers are the worst foamers, but come on, guys. Give it a break. It's definitely not helped by the fact that Union Pacific leans into it and is, 844, the living legend. We have a big boy, and it's called the Big Boy. I mean, what can you do about that, really? UP has a PSR problem. Yeah, who doesn't? And don't say BNSF, because they totally do. They're just not. Just because it's not called PSR doesn't make it not PSR. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, the only thing that's unique about 844 is that it's quote-unquote never been retired. And honestly, at this point, retirement is just a word. It doesn't really matter if you say it's been retired or not. It's not pulling freight trains anymore. It doesn't get picked out of the power pool to go on today's manifest. Like, it's been retired, okay? It's not making Union Pacific any money. I mean, it probably is in some respect, but it's definitely not turning a profit, I would think. Uh, on the other hand, you know what locomotive isn't retired by that metric? 148. 148 isn't retired. 148's in the goddamn power pool for U.S. Sugar Company, and I bet you there's days when they're like, "I gotta fire up the steam engine for today's sugar harvest," and not just for the memes, just because it's there. Because not only they have one Pacific that they just treat as a locomotive. They don't treat it as a steam locomotive. They don't treat it as a tourist locomotive. They treat it as a locomotive. It goes in the shop with all the rest of them, and they pull the number out of the hat. I know that's not how they select them, but uh, like, come on. Uh, I 493 has pulled more freight trains than 844 in the last decade. I'm really just referring specifically to that one log train that the Forest Service got in a twist over. Uh, and I don't know if that's an accurate statement, but it feels accurate to me, and I don't want any facts getting in the way of my narrative. So, this looks good. Except for all the blue over here, it looks good. Yeah, I mean, 3985 deserves it. 3985 deserves a lot of things. 3985 got real shortchanged lately, I think. They were like, "Oh, we got a big boy. Sorry, 3985. I don't want to play with you anymore." And that was the end of that, and it will never be heard from again. Who's going to get a Challenger? Probably WMSR. They're going to buy the Challenger, and they're going to restore it for the next 27 years. 140 is used for its intended purpose. 844 is used for a tourist purpose. Exactly. 844 is used for a shareholder purpose. Look at us, we've got steam. Oh my god. I mean, I wish everyone followed the UP's example and had a steam program, etc., because I'm a big foamer. I mean, what can I say? But like, come on. It's retired. And you know what? If you're a big 844 foamer, I get it. It's a cool thing. It goes out on the main line. It goes on tours and stuff. I've seen 844. I'm not unimpressed by it. In fact, I think it's the first Northern that I ever saw running. It might be the only Northern that I've ever seen running. There are not that many Northerns that are running, but there's more than you'd expect, I guess. Certainly more than I'd expect. So, I'm not unimpressed. That said, I saw it running with 4014, so that's a little bit of a force multiplier, but you know, it is what it is. The thing is, I just I don't have a ton to say about it. It's a cool engine, but it's just a steam engine. It's just a Northern. It's not really anything super crazy. If I had the opportunity to see 844 again, or oh wait, no, it's not the only Northern I've seen because I've ridden behind 611 3 times. Sorry, 611's barely a Northern in my head because it's so small, tiny stupid freight wheels. UP didn't abandon 44. Didn't UP abandon 4449? What? That's. What do you mean? What does that mean? I don't know this story if there's a story. I had no idea UP had anything to do with 4449. Then again, it makes sense because SP, but, like... I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy. On Kajan. Kajan Pass. The ultimate crossover. I mean, they've done stuff together. It's not that much of a stretch to say that, you know, they work together. They've worked together in a PR sort of way. Okay. I always forget when I'm building this that this... I mean, the idea was that this was a lock. Or at least part of it was. And now it isn't, because despite the emphasis that I put on the Everett Lake... Or, sorry. The Mercer Shipping Company, which is the main barge company on Tolbrynd, or at least was, once upon a time. Despite all the emphasis I put on them, it's... They aren't really a thing anymore by this time. I know, somebody with more understanding of 4449 will have to chime in here. Thing is, I don't want to go up here because we have to build stuff in that direction, so... I mean, I've already done it. I don't know why I'm saying I don't want to. I've already done it. What's done is done. We're an hour in, and if I can finish this area here, I think almost everything on this side of the river will be done. Yeah, well, you're in good company, Reading. You don't care much about UP. But no, I really do wonder who could hold the title for worst railroad. Because it depends on how you define worst. Like, least profitable, probably Penn Central. But, like, it disappeared immediately, like, didn't even get boots on the ground, really. There was the Laurel River and Hot Springs Railroad, I think, that bought the engine that would become WMF number 4, which would then become Sandy River number, like, 19 or something. Or 16? 16. Madrid. She's brought up once. In the Iron Horseman Chronicles, I think. And I want to get my other edging stuff. Okay. Down here. Where is it? Oh, it's down to where the road crosses. Down here. They do. UP seems entirely content to sit in there behind and do nothing. Especially... Serlin. No, there were several that were brought up. Uh, Sandy and Rangeley love referencing folks from home, so to speak. And in fact, that bringing up of number 8 was a gaffe, if I remember right, because 8 wasn't one of the ones that was originally destroyed in the Roundhouse Fire, or something like that. Because Salem and Argus, that might be you're thinking about Salem and Argus. But I had to change some stuff around after that in the Iron Horseman universe because I'd originally written a lot of the history of the SRNRL to be paired with its history in real life. But after that, I had to reevaluate who survives the Roundhouse Fire and who doesn't. So, yeah, definitely, maybe Madrid wasn't brought up directly, but Madrid was always supposed to be one of the sticking points between Sandy and Rangeley because she was basically, for Rangeley, she was like the other woman, so to speak. They never. I don't know how you can cheat as a locomotive, but I don't know how far anything would have gone in that respect. But needless to say, Sandy does not like and never trusted Madrid. The LCL boxcar service is wonderful, and we need more of that. Train good, car bad. Crab Orchard Egyptian number 17. NS probably the worst run class one right now. Is more innovative than the UP. They got a problem. Yeah, no, that's fair. And I like how worst run and more innovative includes doing the thing that railroads used to do until like 1945 or 1950. You know, when trucks completely took over. LCL service is wonderful. Yeah, oversized prairie. I think that's Madrid. That should have been Madrid. But then again, it's been a long time. Either way, point is, that was an engine that went to the Laurel and Hot Springs and came back, and then NYOW. Man, I feel bad for that railroad. Not because like they got shortchanged or anything. I've seen their headquarters and it's in a sorry state that makes me sad every time I look at it. I did a massive traffic signal project in Middletown that just wrapped up a few months back, so I think about them a lot. Oh, 23 and 24, a huge and slightly less huge, yeah. Crap. Well, you never know. Never know. Why is Pan Am called Pan Am? I'm sure Shortline is about to answer this. My headcanon is just because Pan Am had needed somewhere else to go. And it's the worst railroad, really. By what I need to know by what measure, because I need to understand what makes the NYOW the worst railroad. I can't fathom them being the worst. They seem like such a footnote in the world. They were just kind of there. But really, the D&H is the best railroad. That much is true. D&H, Gods of Style, don't at me. Speaking of hot takes, I jumped into an argument yesterday about Call of Duty to say only one thing, and that was that Call of Duty World at War was the best Call of Duty. Don't at me. I don't want to take us onto a Call of Duty track. Oh, maybe I do. Maybe I want to discuss Call of Duty now that Microsoft is going to make them all Xbox exclusive. Okay, maybe that's not going to happen, but that would be kind of bonkers, wouldn't it? It had zero reason to exist. Alright, well now you're just being mean. I mean, you might be right, but... Let's see. They were the largest Class 1 to abandon all of its trackage. Wow. I had no idea about that. Some of their trackage is still there. It's like a spur inside of downtown Middletown, but, some of it. Weren't they one of those railroads that really just tried to go from point A to point B and avoid everything else in between? Because it strikes me that that is the kind of thing that would lead one to abandon all of its trackage. This is the New York, Ontario, and Western podcast. Now. And I'm just waiting for, like, the results to come in for why they're the worst. But, I mean, that's a good reason. I'm waiting for further discussion so I can weigh in on it, because I don't have much to weigh in on otherwise, other than, like, I like them. I think they showed up on the NB&W. They were a little section at the north end. And they ran straight through the Catskills. Well, yeah, but that's my point. Like, did they stop anywhere in between? Did they hit any other major population centers? Because that seems to be the thing that... Oh, good, there's the Pan Am answer. That seems to be the thing that dooms a lot of railroads, including various airlines, is... And by airline, I mean not planes. Is the desire to go from point A to point B without going through the points in between that could get you business. What the Raids tried to restart the airline. Oh, I had no idea about that. That's amazing. I had no idea the airline was... You know what? Now I feel much more justified in pretending that Pan Am is just the same company. Obviously it's not, and that's a complete falsehood, but I like to act like that because it's funny. They got out of planes, they got into trains. I don't know what the heck texture to use on this hill, or on this doodad. I'll probably just use this. Although this is going to be mostly dirt. Let's go over it with dirt first. I mean, I would totally rebrand my life Pan Am if I had the trademark to Pan Am. Let's be honest, it's a cool looking trademark. It's a cool logo. The name is cool. Like, Pan Am gets like 0 points for everything, but it gets a 10 out of 10 for style. Absolutely. Pan Am is the D&H of the modern era. Okay, that's being generous. Never mind. Not really. But they are what they are. The spiritual successor, exactly. It's the next book in the series that's written by another author. It's a cool looking railroad. I mean, what can I say? I'm gonna miss seeing it. I'm not gonna miss it existing, but I'm gonna miss, like, the dark blue units and stuff. They tried to make a direct New York to Lake Ontario route and ended up going through nowhere important over a route with stupidly steep grades. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds exactly in line with what my expectations were, and everything else I understand about railroads that tried to go in direct routes and ended up, like, just trying to go in a dumb straight line. The one over here is the what is it called? The Douglas airline, or the New York and New England airline, I believe, was them just trying to build a straight line to Manhattan from Boston, give or take. Not an easy thing to do. It didn't work. It's a trail now because, well, first it got taken over by the New Haven, as did everything else in my neck of the woods. And, I mean, history writes itself from there. The New Haven had better trackage that didn't suck. They had bridges that weren't about to fall down. And, well, they had main lines along the coast and some electrification and, like, population centers. So the airline went the way of the Dino and also the NYNW. Harry Potter written by Steven Spielberg. That's a metaphor. That's wonderful. Well, okay. I feel like it's excusable to get trackage rights into New York City. When did the NYONW start building? Because if it's past 1910, you're not gonna want. And I assume it's not past 1910, but even if it's past like, you know, late 1800s or mid to late 1800s, you don't want to be trying to build another line into New York City. It's not going to happen. The railroads that are there got lucky, and everyone else had to settle for New Jersey, a fate worse than death. So, you know, you get close enough, you get close enough. You be happy. Uh, you just got to be happy with what you get. The New Haven and PRR were happy splitting Penn Station. The New York Central had its station all to its own and did not share it, basically. Uh, to my knowledge, there was not much sharing going on. Started building 1884. Yeah, that sounds like too late, if you ask me. That sounds like way too late. I mean, the PRR gets to sneak one in because they were the PRR and they built a ludicrous infrastructure project. I'm going to be honest. It's ludicrous. If you think about Penn Station, I still need to read the book about building Penn Station and the Hudson Tunnels. But that's called Conquering Gotham for anyone curious. I believe it's called Conquering Gotham. I had it open a tab on my phone for actually years. It's been on my reading list forever and ever. And maybe that's why I can't get used to the historical fiction books again, because my reading list has been incredibly dry, like, non-fiction. Did dragons ever show up in Harry Potter? I feel like they'd be a thing to show up. Okay, I assume they showed up in Fantastic Beasts. I remember seeing Fantastic Beasts. I remember a lot of different beasts. I don't remember explicitly a dragon. But anyway, I know about actual serve New Jersey. Oh, that sucks. That sucks for the NYONW. They had to get trackage rights to get into New Jersey. Man, talk about things that you shouldn't be spending money on. For whatever reason, this just brought about in my mind the fact that the New York Central division going to Boston, that being the Boston and Albany, formerly its own independent railroad, until the end of steam, never lost its own identity because Bostonians hate New York so much and refuse to ride on a train that said New York Central unless they could be duped into doing it, you know, brought to Albany and then going, oh no, haha, joke's on you, you're going to Chicago on a New York Central train. And then they would scream and cry and talk about how the Yankees are the worst. Well, the B&O... I have very few bad things to say about the B&O, mostly because I know very little about the B&O. I don't know how to properly insult them, but I feel like I should. The B&O and the C&O are the same person. That's all I can say about that. I cannot tell them apart. They are not unique. Alright, so we're getting there with this. This is stupid. I'm going all the way up to here. I need to stop because I'm gonna ruin it. And in fact, I think I am gonna stop. Am I inside of the boundary on this? Yeah, more or less. Okay. We're gonna call that done. We're gonna go, we've got to, fill out this here. Alright, so we're gonna need some gravel areas. That's not gravel. That's not gravel. try this. Oh, that's not... Can't use that. What the heck? Oh. Excuse me. Oh, I get what I'm doing now. There. We'll have to add some stuff over here. I've offended... I'm sorry. I understand that the B&O and C&O have have a very special place in a lot of people's hearts, and I should respect that. Oh, well, never mind. There's Matt. I was in the middle of apologizing, but, you know, okay. In seriousness, I don't really have a lot to say about them. I don't know a lot about them. There's sort of railroads that I remember when it comes time to do Merger Mania, which would be a great community playdate, by the way. But otherwise don't think very much about. So, I don't necessarily need to disparage the B&O or C&O, but you know, like when somebody has a face that looks kind of punchable, that's just what they are to me. I don't have anything really to say about them. My railroad opinions are very arbitrary and extremely pointless most of the time. Even like my love of the Pensy is born out of memeing more than almost anything at all. I will stand by a lot of their practices, but that doesn't make me hate the Central, and it doesn't really make me love the Pensy either. They were sort of weird, really. I mean, what else can I say? This is starting to look better. I just feel like when companies are brought up here, it's almost my prerogative to sit here and knock them down however best I can. And I can knock down the Pensy left, right, and center. I mean, they did plenty of stupid stuff, but so can everybody else. So I'm gonna hang on to the standards and chant standards, and you know, make my little summoning circle to bring back a T1. I see no reason not to do that, and no way it can go wrong. Okay. Get this island done. I don't know what else needs to go on this island. Oh, you know what? Some power lines might be nice. Although, this isn't a generator anymore. Or probably never was. It just provides water for the city. The DMNIR is chock full of really pitiful locomotives that always get screwed over in locomotive races because they're just not good and people expect them to be good. It's kind of funny how that always works. Okay. Let's put some cars down. Hold on. There we go. I need some, like, clutter and scatter stuff over here, really. Oh, I want the short version. Let's see, I want one of the small gantry cranes. This is the kind of thing where it will probably take me some time to make this area good. Because I want it to be a pretty well detailed area. I just don't have any inspiration for it right this second. I don't know what to do with it. I need to think about what these industries are, and then go from there, really. Because other than that, I don't really have anything to go off of. So let's think then. Let's get to it. This one, milling company, it takes in lumber. I think just some crates are in order. Over here. Oh, crap. Yeah, the Milwaukee Road deserves a lot of ire. The Milwaukee Road is, well, we'll just say they're special. They made a lot of decisions, a lot of questionable decisions. And they ended up doing, well, they served their fate. So let's... In fairness, this looks pretty good as is. Yeah. Management all disappeared. Not unlike what really happened. I want a pile of coal back here. I would say that no, the Milwaukee Road definitely made some good choices in places, but the thing that I would point to is electrifying the Pacific Extension, and even then, they didn't electrify the whole thing. So, now that I think about it, I don't know what a worse decision would have been. Yeah, you could say that a worse decision might have been not electrifying it at all, but what is worse than spending all that money and not even being able to reap the full reward of it because you didn't do the whole thing? I don't know. So yeah, no, I agree. Worst, they died how they lived. Worst decision makers. The gods of poor decision making. That is the Milwaukee Road. Uh, okay, depends how you define a whole railroad, because, I mean, yes. Yes, me. Yes, me. Many years ago, on a small map you might have heard of called the Geiger Mountains Railway. That was fully automated. That route ran itself. It was all track and baseboard and basically no scenery, but it was fully automated and it basically worked. Asterisk. It's the closest I've ever really come to fully automating something flawlessly, and it ran pretty darn well. Baby? Hi. This one is going to be the hardest one to do, I think. Because I don't really know what to do with it. Let me grab the gravel. Oops. Yeah. Occasionally an engine got stuck. I think the other thing is that route was almost tailor-made for AI work. Because everything was unit trains. It was all the default, like, facilities and stuff. There wasn't a lot of room for, like, interesting maneuvers. This is section 2. Section 1 was released. It's on the DLS right now, it's just Olive. Yeah, if I remember right, U into 51 was supposed to be going around the whole map. But the whole map was kind of jank. So, there really isn't a ton to say about, like what was good there and what wasn't. It was a beginner's attempt at automating a route, I'll say that much. I think it looked better as dirt. Yeah, it looks better as dirt. So what's supposed to go here? Flat stock? Let's see. I just need, like... I need a steel... Oh, wait. Oh, it's just steel coil. I bet there's more of that. I bet there's more of those somewhere. Those are not getting moved by hand, I'll say that much. Let's just put a pile of scrap out back then. Paper pile, scrap metals, scrap tires, scrap stack. Scrap. There we go. We got some scrap in the back. This place is just supposed to do milling. Honestly, it would be taken out by truck. Let's put in some power lines here. There we go. Eight-wire telegraph from here. I do like the popping the things out of the top of the building. I know it's not real, but it shows you where the wires go at least. Yeah, definitely unsticking trains on Geiger Mountains was not just my specialty, it was a full-time job. It was very much a, oh, what do you call it? a result, just a blatant result of what happens when you try to automate a trains map. It's the trains AI is not perfect. You can really get it to do what you want if you know how to work it in and out and you have all the commands and everything, but that does not mean it does not get confused, which it does rather frequently. So you have to keep an eye on it, or it'll just get stuck and come up the whole system. But I do believe that if you can get it just right, you will not have to keep an eye on it. And I think, and I haven't done the 24-hour test yet, you guys would have known because you would have seen the stream. I think if I can get the AI just a little bit further along, then we can have at least a fully automated trolley system here. Yes?
You'll never guess what I found on HBO Max.
What did you find?
Whose line is it anyway? All 8 seasons.
Oh, well, I know what we're going to be watching for the next God knows how long. Hey, that's good. We're about to run out of other shows. Just something to put on while we're sitting here eating dinner. Nothing better than TV for that. Alright, I'm just going to fill this in like this. I guess I'll just use grass on top of it. I think the thing that I underestimated when I started this thing is how useful just a patch of grass is. Just nothing but grass. No trees or sparse trees. That's it. Okay. Yes? What? Yeah, I don't want them. Enjoy. So, with this area getting done, I can confidently say that aside from one little farm area, just about everything on this side of the route is done. And I could probably start a new section with a pretty clear conscience, if I wanted to. Now, that's not to say that I should. Certainly I shouldn't start placing down baseboards right now or tomorrow. Or next week, rather. Because we do have a lot of area we should be filling in. But, yeah, that's why I didn't want them. Sure. Dip them in something. Well, save them and dip them in something later then. I don't know. Nah, get rid of them. I mean, if you wanna. Just pretend you're high and make a culinary combination. Then it's probably good. Okay. We got some trees and stuff. They're a little bit too patterned for my liking, so I'll add a second one here. More A than I. Yeah, that's fair. So welcome to Mason's Landing. Or Mason Valley. The thing is, we have... Yeah. We have... Run train, lol. Man, I should. I'd love to. I thought I was going to be eating dinner in the middle of this, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to get to run a train down the line while I stuff my face. No. My dad dropped us off dinner, which I'm not upset about, but, like, I was hoping that I would have a run session today. If you moved, would you continue on the GE main or start a Geiger? Okay, so I've mentioned this a couple times before, but it's understandable that not everyone is here when I say it. So this is how it's gonna go. So section 1 was this, section 2 is all this. Section 3 is 15 miles this way, so about the same distance from here to here, in a generally this direction, which is, I mean, north is this way, so that's almost due west. It's going to be west-southwest. It's going to go inland. The coast is going to stay more or less in the same place. It's going to go inland, mostly over farms and fields and stuff. So the scenery is going to dramatically change, but that is the next step. After that, we're going to be trying to link up that with this, sort of. I don't have the map on hand, but the Gilson Eastern continues along the coast. The Geiger Mountains crosses here and then turns and goes more inland. But there's a branch line from about here to about here. Well, there are two branch lines that meet in the middle. And that's going to be something that I'm going to want to use Surveyor 2.0 for, so I can steal an entire town to put there, because the town is already built. Anyway. What to do. Okay. We have a farm to build anyway, so let's go back down here and do that. I did put up the fence already, right? Yeah. Alright, so I just need some farm texture. Alright. Yeah, this is exactly what I need. Ponderously large brush. I forgot how large you can make the brush. The one time you don't want to spin textures is when you're doing farmland. Is my sound off? My Steam just popped up. I don't know if it was a thing. So yeah, next up is 15 more miles of Gilson Eastern trackage along the, through farmland, not along the water, not quite. After that, I don't know how much distance we're going to need to cover there. Not everything is set in stone for where things are. So things have a little bit of wiggle room. We will be making use of that, I'm sure. Mostly because the scale on the map that I drew is really, really rough. And this is how it was developed. I drew the map, then I built 15 miles of railway, then I matched that 15 miles of railway up to the map and said, there's our scale. This is Farm Simulator, yeah. There's going to be a lot more of this where we're going, I'll say that much. You guys better get used to it. I will probably be trying to make each farm at least a little bit unique. I'll download as many barns and farmhouses as I can get my hands on. Just so that we don't have the same thing over and over again. Farm country can be pretty samey, but it's not identical. It's not like you're going by the same farm again and again. It's still my favorite area in the map right now. It's the kind of thing where I'm done with it and I want to show people because I'm impressed with how it looks. I'm happy with how it looks. I should put in a truck over there. I know if I stopped it. What the? Oh. Give me back the thing. Yeah. Everything is just... Nothing's quite the same. Nothing's quite so cookie cutter. Everything can be very close, but nothing's quite so cookie cutter. Okay. So there's a little barn-looking thing there. We need to finish fencing this in. I think I know everyone is itching to see me build track, and I'm itching to build track and terrain. Now, that's not to say that the terrain that we're going to be going through is particularly interesting, because let's face it, it's not. It's going to be flat. And in fact, I'm not even going to be doing much in the way of oceanside, because we're going to be that far from the coast. I will be going up a little bit, and I need to double check on the map to see if that's feasible or reasonable. But I would like to be going up a little bit. Okay, so ooh, this is cool. We'll use this. Just throw it at the other end here. I know I see I have a piece of grid there. It could, but I'm not really intending for it to have that. I would like to experiment with making rolling hills a thing, though. You know what? Let's say in a few minutes, before we go into the industry stuff, I'll whip out the map and we'll talk about the future. Because it is important that we're all on the same page, I suppose. Because I'm going to want input about how much more of the area over here do I finish. And I would like that input to be coming from a position of, like, what is the smart choice versus what do we want to see right now? Because, yeah, no kidding, everyone wants to see me build more track and stuff. But no, the bananas are not going to be coming from on map. I think I've mentioned that before. The bananas and the fruit almost all are going to be coming from off map. I can have some orchards and things. Those would be nice in certain areas. In fact, I'll probably do some fruit stuff up around Appleton, because, you know, hence the name. Sorry, 1 second. Oh! I do have a little bit of water. There. So, I'm just going to put that there. Walking businessman, huh? Wallace's gun shop. Okay, let's go for wagon. Oh, wait, that's exactly what I wanted. Sussex farm wagon. Daylight come and me one go home. Okay. Let's just throw in a tractor as well. Yes, the airport tractor, that is what I want. Farm all. In fact, I'm going to put this... No, I don't have... I wish I had, you know, the thing that goes behind the tractor, the plow. I wish I had a plow. I don't think I have a plow. Let's find out. If I have that, I might put it out in the field. Oh, I do. Okay, cool. Although, no, that takes extra scenery work. We'll do that. We'll deal with that later. We'll do something like that in the future, I'm sure. Let's see. Identifiable fruit trees right there. And also we could use some railroad crossing signs. Nope, that's not it. Railroad signs. How about just a crossbuck? Need an old one. I know we have old ones. There's one. Okay, I need some whistle posts also, or I need a whistle post. Which I don't think I have over here, actually. It's the kind of thing I should probably put down. Oh well. Oh wait, that'd be trackside. Okay, PR whistle sign. Yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted. Put this over here. I'm pretty sure I've used this elsewhere. Oh, the A2A? I don't know. I don't know what I think about the Alaska to Alberta plan. It seems like such a ridiculous notion, basically. I don't think it's gonna I don't think it's possible. I think it'd be cool. I mean it'd be nice to have that rail connection, but I don't think that it's reasonable to have that rail connection. And I don't think these are nearly far enough away, but that's fine. Oh wait, is that one right there? Did we just go buy one? No, this is a pedestal dwarf. Okay. Foamers would die of hypothermia. I think you're just describing the White Pass in Yukon now. Okay, let's look at my to-do list. Cows, mainline grid, filling in holes using fill grid tool. That's a little bit more of a pain in the butt than I thought it was, honestly. But we can do it. I think I'm just gonna go along here, and if I see any grid, yeah, Hem is here. I would hope so. You're not one to be the person who says the joke louder, as it were. Then again, I'm definitely the loudest one here. Because, you know, I can talk and you guys can't. Ah, there's some grid. I found it. What the heck am I going to do? Give me that. Yeah, it absolutely would be. It would be gargantuan in every sense of the word. But I don't. If I understand correctly, the thing that drives a lot of that is, or the thing that would drive a lot of it is something like crude oil traffic. And as as with the Uinta Basin project, it's good to have more railroads, but that's not the best reason to have more railroads, at least not right now. I feel like in general, as a world, we are making more steps than ever to move away from reliance on oil for things. And it it does kind of boggle me to think that people are willing to invest that much in oil, knowing the state of the world. And I'm not even talking about environmentally. I just mean sociopolitically. I don't think that we're just going to have as much use for the darn thing, for the stuff anymore as much. Obviously, there's going to be a use, but is that use enough to justify such a gargantuan expenditure and such a gargantuan task and labor to build this railroad line through some of the most inhospitable areas on Earth? I don't know. I don't think so. I know that train good, and more train, I should always be rooting for more train. And so I don't want them to not build it, but I wish it were to be built for different reasons. Because I do feel like if I start to say things like, well, there's nobody really that lives up there, so why would we go through all this to... Then I'm falling into the exact same trap that a lot of Amtrak haters fall into, or just disliker. Yeah. No, I don't know. Yes, begin. Aha, I filled all that in, that's done. Also, I want to fill in this with it, because this is garbage. Look at that. Mere. Hi, my love. There's a big chip clip on the kitchen table. Like a giant one. Wait. Oh, I already put it away, I think. There was a chip clip out there. There should be a giant one on the table last time I saw it. Last time I checked. Nah, more train good, but like, I wish it was for different reasons. I do think, like towards my end of the kitchen table. No? The big red clip? Alright. Reject UP, reject UP, embrace Rio Grande. But really, no. It's just a lot of work for something that doesn't need to be done. And in fact, I do feel like even the Uinta Basin project may decades from now be looked back on as a venture that was right for the wrong reasons, and that there's a non-zero chance that it gets built and it gets shut down almost immediately. Just very little traffic because it's just unnecessary. Which would be tragic from a railroad point of view, but, you know, whatever. It's the way it does. I think that the Uinta Basin project, if brought to its logical extent, makes a lot of sense. And by that I mean connecting it to Craig. Connecting it to the end, basically completing the Rio Grande's original vision. Now that is a super foamy thing for me to say, but I think that's the only way it becomes useful in the long run, in the longest run. Oh, we need to set up this industry here. I still don't even know what it's going to make. Some kind of sand. Because that's a coal mine, so we needed to do something. I think from here beyond is fine. It was just that section. I didn't see any more grid. I'll go back over the other way just to make sure. Yeah. I think in some ways it'll be looked back on the same way we look back on the canals that were built in the 1830s. That it was a tremendous expenditure and a tremendous effort and a tremendous achievement to construct it, but it was ultimately pointless. It ultimately had virtually no effect on the future and didn't end up lasting very long anyway. At least in some ways, that's what I hope happens. Uh, Certainly, I hope that instead it is a hold on a year. It is made useful, but there's no guarantee of that ever happening. I mean, there's no guarantee of it ever being built. It could be. I know you're more worried about the opposite, but I'm saying I don't know if the usage of oil is driven more heavily by demand than supply, of course, as is the usage of just about anything. And all the Uinta Basin Railroad is going to do is provide more supply. At the end of the day, we're not backpedaling on our usage of fossil fuels because we're running out of them, because we don't have enough supply. We're backpedaling on our use of fossil fuels because of an understanding of what it's doing to the environment that we live in, and finding alternatives. And by that I mean we could have a wonderful understanding of what it's doing to the environment we live in and still be stuck with using it because the modern conveniences and lifestyle we enjoy are solely dependent on that. And that's kind of the way it's been. But as other options surface, the shift to those has been largely driven by political forces, and then ultimately by, in ways, or in part by the cost of them being driven down. But I don't think that opening up all this new oil, despite the fact that it's going to dramatically increase supply of crude, at least, is going to drive down oil prices by that much that it'll be able to get down faster than the alternative fuels and methods of living our lives have. You know, I think if it does get built, yeah, we're going to see that supply enter the market, but I don't think that's going to severely change the transition away from fossil fuels, because it's not a lack of supply that's doing it. It's not anywhere close to a lack of supply that's causing the changes in what we use to fuel our world. Okay, so it's 10 past 9, just about. I'm going to pull open the map, and we're going to look at some things. So, before I reveal it, I will go and get it set up, so that you don't need to watch me pilfer through my folders and look at all the embarrassing things that I have in here. This hasn't been updated in a while. Well, the title hasn't been updated in a while. Okay, there we go. I think this is right. Or is this a little old? This might be a little bit old. I thought I had this sorted by date modified. I do. I do have it sorted by date modified, so this is the most recent one. This is last edited, yeah, back in November. But it's still the most updated file there is. Alright, let's turn this on. Screen. Alright, I'm going to take one last look at the stream chat, and then I'm going to disappear forever. From internet outrage would be said for life. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so, here's where we are. I overlaid the current map. Now, most of you are going to look at this and go, you're insane, that's a huge map. And yes, I agree, I know, it is. We're only doing this stuff inside the box, nevertheless, it's still gigantic. But here's where we are. I don't think I've added any other tiles after this. So, see what you will here. it's going to be harder and harder to superimpose it like this as the map gets bigger. Because I can't zoom out and show the whole thing. In fact, I think if I go to zoom out now... Oh, you know what? I can keep going. That must have been a tame thing. Oh my god, I can keep going and going. Okay, I'm going to assume there's no stopping. Go back, 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 go back. Oh, you know what? Nope, you know what? That doesn't work. Crap, crap, crap. Go back in. Oh, wait. I have an idea. If I'm stuck way out here, and then I do... this. Aha! Okay. I like that. That saves me a lot of time. But I'm actually going to go way back out here because I don't need my computer going into overdrive. I'm going to go way over here. Where the water ends. Where we've got nothing but blank land. So, yeah, I am going to be working on this from my grave. Oh, 2 people left. Okay. So, here's what we're doing. This is 15 miles, give or take. This is 15 miles, give or take. It might be a little bit longer, but I'm going to try to match it up by superimposing so that we get to where Bellington is supposed to be. You'll notice that the tracks pull away from the water fairly rapidly here. We're gaining in elevation almost through this whole thing. It's probably a gain, a descent, and then a low point here, and then a gain again through this little notch. Now, once upon a time, the main line went down this way, around through Douglas, around this ridge, and through the valley here, and then met up with it here. But this part is no longer in service, and this purple section belongs to the Mansfield Branch Railroad, which is a subsidiary of the Gilson Eastern. Either way, the next thing we're going to do is this: Mason's Landing to Bellington. We're going to be building all this track, lots of farmland primarily, facilities in Bellington and South Bellington, or sorry, a town in Bellington, South Bellington, and a town in the middle here that doesn't have a name yet. Once all that is done, and you can tell by the width of this, just generally what of this is going to get done. Probably almost no mountains. And I'm going to have to look for like real life examples of this kind of shelf. But Bellington and South Bellington, which is going to be relatively small farming towns. There might be some milling in South Bellington because of just the way it is and where it is. And because it's a little bit more hilly over here. And then, once that is done in 5 years, then we will be building this section from Doe Cliff through this unnamed town, Appleton, and Bellington, and down to Bellington. This section here, this blue section, is the former mountain division, or was going to be the mountain division of the Gilson Eastern. And this section is part of the Geiger Mountains. Both of these sections were technically... Well, actually, no, I take that back. This was the original route of the Geiger Mountains through here. Which then they built the bridge here to prevent that from needing to be a thing. Yeah. Okay. I hope you guys have figured that out. So now we need to look at some spreadsheets. So, spreadsheet time. Over... What's the movie list? Spoilers for the real list. Don't look at this. Don't look at that. You guys just saw a whole slew of potential future episodes. And maybe even some spoilers about what the next ones are. Anyway, we've got to bang out Cork and Sons on the producer side. And we have to bang out, MV Textiles. That's going to be a real tough one to figure out. Cork and Sons, Back at the Base Shipbuilding, and the Bendover Warehouse. I think we can do all of them except... and we need to do that quarry as well. I don't know what commodity that quarry is going to have, but I don't think I'm going to do quartz sand now. I think it's going to be something else. I think it's got to be some other kind of sand. do a Google. What kind of sand is useful in industrial purposes? Silica sand. Silica sand. Okay, hold on. Silica sand mine. Let's see. Oh, it's in Minnesota. Wow, that's actually not as big as I would have thought. Where is silica sand typically found? Let's find out. Utility sand, masonry sand, concrete sand, fill sand, industrial sand, crushed stone sand. Let's see. Well, so the map right now looks like sand, which it's supposed to be some kind of sand that they're digging out here. It does not seem to be found near the ocean very much. Sand and sand mining. Dune sand. Industrial sand is used to make glass. Foundry sand and as abrasive sand. Serving as a candle holder. That's not helpful. Quartz sand is used for glass, of course. Uses for... Let's see. What is quarried in... What is quarried in Rhode Island? Let's try that. Soapstone. No. That's archaeology. That's not helpful. Bankrupt quarrying operation. Copar Industries. What did this do? Redstone. No, not the granite quarry. That's too much. This looks more like it. Copar quarries. What did they do? Dust piles, stone dust. Mountains of dust. It's amazing to see how many piles there are. Silica dust. Maybe it is silica sand. What were they digging up here? Copar Quarry, Rhode Island. Copar Quarry. Sullivan Granite Company. Well, that's not helpful. I don't want granite. Oh, that's fun. What kind? Well, what kind of commodities do we have anyway? Let's go back to freight cars and loads and take a look. So, first on pallet, bucket seal, helping pallet, casting sand. Maybe we could do that. Casting sand. That's for the mill gondola, of course it is. Cement, corn, flour. I'm just looking in this column first. Loose gravel. Gravel with sand. Maybe we could just... No, that's only the Dragon's Pass thing. I don't really want to use that if I can avoid it. Gravel loose. That also is just the Dragon's Pass thing. Although we can switch that over to this hopper. Limestone Aggregate. Where is limestone aggregate mined? Throughout Indiana, eh? Open quarries. I mean, I feel like if we do that, it's got to be a bigger operation than this, right? This is a fairly small scale operation. Although, wait a minute. I just had an idea. I just had an idea. Oh, it's Steam and wants me to restart Steam. So if we go with whatever the I want to know what it takes to make it. Water, air, admixtures, aggregate, fly ash, silica flume, slag, and cement. Okay. So I'm going to look at something real quick. And now I'm going down a real rabbit hole. But, going to Hillsborough. Going to the quarry that I investigated previously. Down here, Bellington, Greenfield, Wilton, the quarry's right here. The stone quarry. No, I don't think I want to feed a concrete plant. Although, in fairness, this area is, what? 700 by 1,000 feet, give or take. Let's look at our area here. It's substantially smaller, but it's also probably a substantially younger quarry. So this is... Nope, I take that back. It's about 700 by 1,000. This is about right. So the thing is, if we make this some sort of limestone aggregate, and then we put a concrete plant in South Bellington, we can ship concrete from here to there, or aggregate from here to there. I think that ought to do it. Oh, we need to fill in the grid here, though. Let's fill in the grid. Again. Okay. So we need some cars. 1950s. We're gonna need some equipment. We're gonna need probably like a steam shovel. I don't know how many people would work here, honestly. Let's put this down with the Batmobile. Throw this down right there. There was supposed to be a ramp down into the quarry. Oh, it's over here. Yeah, there's really no way to get the material up. But, let's see. Let's try shovel. Shovel. I mean, I'll just put them, you know, over here. I want an old dump truck. And I don't think I'm going to find one, because they just aren't old enough. Because even these guys, actually, these look about right for... I mean, they don't look too bad for the era. But I'm actually just going to put a ton of them over here. Just line them up. I might want to tailor the appearance of a place to when the trains get there, the ones that serve it. just so that, you know, if a train's coming in the middle of the night, there's not a lot of activity in an area. But if a train's coming there in the middle of the day, it's not, what the heck is that for a name for a texture? Yeah, I'm not sure I'm in love with that. No, I'm not sure I'm in love with that either. That's too much of a contrast. I think this'll do it. Yeah. This is where they've been working, so this area is all, like, driven over, I guess. Sure. We'll go with that. I don't know if that looks better or worse than where we had it. Well, we needed multiple industry. All industry right here. Okay. I'll switch you back over for now so that I can look at the... Oops. There we go. So we can look at the doodad. Okay, back to what we were doing. Impending doom sand mine. Okay. Straighten this track out. We need a name for this quarry. We'll figure that out in a minute. I think we're going to load at least 6 cars a day. That would make sense to me. And for now, I'm going to slide this out of the way. Right over there. So we'll rotate you and line you up. And then we'll use whatever that rotation is. I don't want to roll it, thanks. I know I'm holding the wrong thing. Locks quarry? I'd be up for that. I don't mind the sound of that. Alright, what is the rotation? 49.7. Go around. 49 point... Come on. There we are. And these two don't quite line up, which tells me these two tracks are not perfectly parallel. Nailed it. Okay. Gatsby-like figure. Forey Quarry. Okay, I'm not naming it that, Redding. Nice try, but no thank you. Snap, damn you. Oh, it did. Ah, rats. There it is. Give me that. Just put it there. Put her there, pal. Oh. Rud. Drag. Drag. Slide this over slightly so it's not out of whack anymore. I never thought I'd be rusty at placing splines. Holy cow. Okay. So, what did I name this? Okay, just GE. Got it. GE Locks Quarry oil drop off. GE Locks Quarry track 1. Track 2. Okie doke. Well, we've got that done. We know how this needs to do. We've done this a million times before. Diesel fuel, tracks, diesel fuel, unload from vehicle, processes, consume diesel fuel, products, items. Wasn't this screwy before? What did we have to do? Instead of looking it up, I'm just going to go find the other one. What did I do? It was 64,000, so 32,000, and then 8 in 2160. Okay. Back over here. Nope, let's fix this first. 64,000, and then 32,000. 8,000 in 21,600. Okie doke. Now for you, we want to do 6 carloads in total. We also need to throw down the right car over here when we get in the seed layer. Let's go grab the right car so that I don't have to look it up. On a mega route, once you get one portion done, you can really just springboard off of that. Hence what I'm doing. There goes you. Right, back to the regular layer, or rather the route layer. Okay, what are we doing? We're doing limestone aggregate, which if I check my thing really quick, goes in the covered hoppers. So I am not clicking on the right window. Gilson Eastern, although these would probably be lettered for whatever the company that owns this is. Seed. I'm just going to push these to the back, and we're going to load them up with limestone aggregate. It's quartz sand, that's my favorite. There it is, limestone aggregate. It even looks like pebbles on the beach. Transfer that to all them. One, two, three, four, five, six. Transfer that to all them. And I honestly, I might even want to do some more. I might want to do 8 carloads, but whatever does this is going to be probably a relatively special train. And 6 carloads out of this little quarry, I think, is enough for one day. So, limestone, limestone aggregate, which is a capital L. Let's see if I can do this in my head. So, we're doing 3 times 60,000, which is 180,000. So that times 2 is 360,000. 360,000. 180,000. Oh, crap. Let's see if I can do that outside of my head. Remembering to flip this over to items. 180,000. You're going to put the limestone into the vehicle. Oops, into the vehicle. Processes, you're going to create the limestone from thin air. Oh, wait. We need an industry link on this here, don't we? How do I do it? How do I industry link these two things? Let's just set them up to do the thing properly. So 360,000. Oops. How come it's not taking? Oh, because I didn't put anything in it, probably. Limestone aggregate. 360K. There we go. Waybill 50%. 180,000. I've done it again. $180,000. Tracks. Load into vehicle. Processes. Create the limestone aggregate. I'll say that much. That much I know needs to happen. And if it's going to happen 4 times a day, 180 divided by 4 isn't a clean answer, but I think it's 45,000. So 45,000 every 21,600. So I was right. I could figure that out. Create limestone aggregate. 21,600, create 45,000. So now what I need to do, I'm going to need 2 industry links. You and you. I'm going to have you create 2 new things. So I'm going to do limestone plates product, and I'm going to do limestone sandstone. Or limestone solid. Actually, let me double check that none of these show up in the industry list. Limestone solid does, so I will leave that be. Limestone solid, lime sandstone is there in the wrong order. Although, honestly, I don't think it matters. And I don't think I'm going to use this, whatever it is. So, set that to 0, set this to 0, and here's what we're going to do. Set these to 8, I guess. Limestone plates and lime sandstone. Limestone plates, lime sandstone. It's going to produce 1 of each. 21,600. I also will switch this over to units so that there is no confusion. Items. I always say units. I'm also not looking at the chat if anybody said anything. No, okay, nobody did. Cool. Not missing anything. Don't miss a trick out here. Limestone, lime sandstone, limestone plates. Produce 1, produce 1. Okay, so now I need 1 of these to be lime sandstone. Lime sandstone. 8, 0 tons, 4. Just for the sake of it. Oh. SMH my head. 4 items, 4 units. And the processes will go like this. You consume 1 lime sandstone. And you produce 4,500 aggregate. Same thing with you. Next queue. Limestone plates. Max size of 8, weigh bill of 0. Products. Items. Why do I do this to myself? 4 of these to start with. Tracks, that's fine. Processes, limestone plates, product, and it resets the timer, because of course it does. That's right, consume 1 every 21,600. Now I need to set these 2 up. Opinions on hot chocolate. Meh. I don't like hot liquids. Diesel drop off to track 1. What do you have in common? That, yes. Wrong one. GE locks diesel drop off to GE locks track 2. What do you have in common? There we go. There we go. I like hot chocolate in theory, I just don't like drinking it. That's a weird thing to say, but that's the truth. Am I... Gosh darn it. I gotta move these things onto the right layer now. Route layer. Route layer, yes. Okie doke. So that's set up. I need to actually put that on the thing, so I'll switch this back over so you can see my screen again. Industries, this is a consumer and a producer. It's a double producer. It's on the GER main line, I guess you could call it. And it's going to be up here above that, which is kind of a weird spot for it, but slide that down. GER mainline, locks quarry, it takes diesel, right? Oh, whoops, I put it as a producer. Need to do that one more time. Slide this down because we have 2 of them. Track 1. Track 2. And then we'll put this right there. This will be... How is it spelled exactly? Freight car loads. Limestone aggregate. Like that. Give me that. Limestone aggregate, limestone aggregate. And then it's on 180,000. Really? Let's do it like this. Okay, now time for the other side. Let's see, GER mainline. I guess there's nothing on the main line that's a consumer except for this. That's kind of interesting. Plenty of consumers elsewhere, though. Somebody's pinged me. I'm gonna see what it is really quick, just in case it's something urgent. But I don't want to share that with the world. In case it's not something urgent. Meanwhile, this is going to be Had a feeling. Ooh, what is this? Interesting. Meanwhile, this is going to be... Let's just see. Can I just steal it from somewhere? Diesel fuel. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. So we've got that in. We didn't do Cork and Sons. We didn't do any of the other ones, but we got this done, which is important. Back of the bay shipbuilding. See, the thing is, I don't think this is a shipbuilding place anymore, and I don't think it's going to take lumber. I think it's going to take in general goods. Because it would probably be loaded from here onto boats. So, unless I can come up with a special commodity on this side, or for something that we already have for the boats. Sorry, I'm just itching my head vigorously all of a sudden. Then I think we're better off just doing... We're better off just doing... general goods. Yeah, okay. Not everything has to be special. So, back of the base shipbuilding is going to take general goods in. It's going to be the same as... No. That's Sanchez goods. Let's do a different general goods place. Oh, the legitimate business company takes general goods. So let's go fix that. Back of the bridge. So this is... Oh boy, what are we calling this? I'll just call it ML. It's Mason's Landing. Although, industry, right? Industry track. Town or railroad. Gotcha. I don't want to restart Steam right now, thanks. GE... I'll just call this Harborside. Harborside. Yeah, that's it. It's just going to be called Harborside. I'm going to change this out to be... Oh, crap. No. Although that probably just broke it, but let's find out. I think it's the one on top. Tracks. Get rid of that. Add that. It's broken. Cool. You love to see it. Grab you. ML. Harborside team track. General goods, the first one. Size 80. Waybill 50. Before I do anything else, let's change it to items. Let's load the general goods off of the vehicle. Start it with 40. 21,600, although it's gonna delete it when I do that, yeah. 10, every 21,600. If I line it up well enough, it'll just go. Joke's on me, it doesn't. It didn't just go. Damn it. Okay, I'm gonna have to do better than that, I guess. No! Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Double crap. It's totally messed up now. And now I'm moving a tree. think I can fix this. I'd like to fix this. Because right now it's not good. Alright, that's good. Can line that up. Yeah, there we go. I kind of actually want to sink it into the ground a little bit, so let's do that. Let's just... yeah, that's good. We like that. We take those. I wish it was sunk just a little bit more, but that's going to be good enough. In fact, I'll put crossing boards over it. Oh, just kidding, it's in here. Come on, show me the wooden grade crossing. Nope. There it is. It's not wood, it's wooden. Or sorry, other way around. There we go. Guys, look, it's a re-railer track. I want a little platform. Like a small wooden platform. I should just have a little freight platform. Maybe it's under W. No. Goods platform. I know I have a little platform. Platform wooden low. That is so big. That is so much bigger than it needs to be. Alright, I bet you I have one over here. Hang on. Hold on tight. I went screaming past it, but I bet I have one right here. There it is. It even has stairs. I even put stairs on it. Well, this one I'm not going to put stairs on. And we're going to seed it. So let's flip over to the seed lever. Yeah. Any of these will do. You're going to be empty because you're emptied. We're almost out of time. Get rid of all these tabs I had open. So this is Harborside Team Track. This one's difficult. So we've got 1, 2, probably 3 or 4 industries to set up. One of which is the wool mill, which I don't even think has any multiple industries. Oh, it does. It does. Okay, it does. This is going to be a difficult one. This is going to be an hour's worth of work, probably, just like the other one, just like the one down the way, or across the river here, even. I don't think I'm ready to set this up yet, but let's see if we can throw together the other one really fast. Cork Furniture Company, or whatever it's called. So one of these ones that oh right, I didn't actually manage to get 2 things on the same platform. There are 2 platforms. Cork and Sons. This creates lumber, does it? somehow I managed to make it produce more than one thing. Oh, right. No, never mind. That was never the problem. So, what's the deal? Now, I don't necessarily want this place to produce railroad ties. And in fact, I don't really want it to produce 8-foot lumber either. In fact, I think this place is going to almost solely produce pallets and maybe a little bit of general goods on the side. Now, it's supposed to be a furniture company, which is what the brown canvas covered load was alluding to. I feel like I have too many options all of a sudden. Let me think about this for a second, because we can do a good handful of things. What's this? We can do a good handful of things. We know this has to take in lumber, quite a bit of it as a matter of fact, to the point where I would assume something would be shuffling stuff back into here quite often. And I wanted to have two outputs, one of which is pallets, and the other of which is something else. Originally I was going to replace this, but that's because I thought it had a different one, which I thought was something other than the canvas-covered load and railroad ties. Do we just have furniture? I mean, I thought we had furniture, but we do as a commodity, but not as one we can actually load onto anything. I mean, yeah, not everything has to be unique and perfect. We can get away with having general goods in a lot of places, but I really feel like furniture ought to be something else. What else have we got? Let's see. What are you guys looking at? Me. Cool. So, I just spit a little bit, and I did not mean to do that. Rails old and rusty. No. Strange thing load. Well, that ain't it. Trailer's HP, truck Volvo, wood load for gondola. That's in the railgun. That I don't really want. Zinc ore, zinc sulfate, taconite, sun-kissed crates. Saxet, nitrate, roadstone, river stones. Pallet. I mean, we need pallet. That's what we're doing. Where did... Oh, it was just called empty pallet, I think. Now, I'm looking through all this, and there's nothing that really jumps out at me as the obvious output for a place like this. I'd prefer some sort of furniture, or some sort of milled wood, I suppose. But, not finding it. By the way, this is also in the gondola, which is not an ideal thing to carry pallets in, I would think. I'd probably want it on a flat car instead. But, oh well. Camp goods. That's only a 36-inch thing, isn't it? I think it'll just have to be pallets and general goods. Which isn't something I really want, because I feel like we do that a lot. But I could always hand wave it away and say that the I could always hand wave it away and say that the pallets or the furniture is transported out by truck. This is a conundrum now. I don't even like the fact that pallets are in a gondola car. Just because that car has everything in it. Do we have another, like, good flat car? I mean, seriously. Because if I can find it... Wait a minute. Let me do this. Manage content. Let's see what we got. Oh, it's payware, apparently. List dependents. Okay, just that, huh? Because if we had another flat car that could hold something like that, I would be over the moon. What about just pallet? Or is there... Can I do a type? No. Darn. Okay. Pallet 1, that's just an asset. I really wish I just had... That's an asset. Pallet empty 8 stack. Lumber and empty pallet set. Palletized goods. Pallets, all sorts of different kinds of ones. Yeah, no, I don't think I have another pallet here. Which is unfortunate, because I really wanted to use pallets. I mean, everything's got to get pallets from somewhere, right? But I would love to just have the boxcar of furniture. What is the closest thing we got? I think one of these loads has got to be something like that. And I think it's going to be a very special sort of situation. Because if we have a load in one of these gondolas that, you know, one of these where it only holds one, but it's some sort of ambiguous covered load thing, then maybe I would do it. No, but we don't seem to have that. Spools of cable. Steel frame load, steel slab, strange thing load for gondola. What was that again? I remember it being like some lumps of or like small buildings or something. Which I just looked at and I forgot. Okay, so it's the 52-foot rail gun. Now I'm curious. I need to see it. That's not even the right thing. Alright, it's time for me to hang up the cape, but, let me just throw this down and see what the strange thing is. I remember it being kind of underwhelming, but I need to know now. Track repair kit. Although, I could use this as something. No, I couldn't. It's not ambiguous enough. Yeah, okay. So that load back to 0. Here's your strange thing. Yeah, it's just pipes and a shed. Not made out of wood, most noticeably. Pallet of goods. Hang on a minute. What is this? Why have I never noticed it before, and did I forget to put it in? No, it's in the same thing as pallet. I wonder what that could be.
Excuse me, sir. It's 10 o'clock, and me and your child are waiting for you.
Yes, I'm aware.
Lafayette, say hi.
Hey, good boy. Hey, good boy. Hey, good boy. Alright, so the strange thing was not strange enough. We'll have to figure this out. We will figure it out sooner or later. But anyway. Don't have much time to come to these streams. Can you see him? I see him right there. I hope you guys enjoyed this stream, and I will see you next week with another episode of Under Construction. We edge ever closer to moving on to the next section. Hi. Hey, good boy. Hey, good boy. Hi. See you next week.